I mean, we could have, the second they phoned Amy the first time and said, listen, your husband tested positive for COVID, you have to come in alone. We could have like said, oh, wow, that sucks, and she went alone. But because we stayed fighting, and it wasn't fighting with people. People aren't your enemy.
Yeah.
You need to sometimes just fight for the promise, fight for what's yours.
Okay.
Cool.
Sweet.
And we're live.
Learning something new every day.
I'm telling you. Learning how to work the recorder.
Something I should probably know already, but
Yeah, lekker. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Lekker. I still have my blue tag on. Little baby Luna Elsie van Aswegen was born yesterday at around 4:20. And
Crazy.
yeah, so what an experience. I wanted to actually put it on camera while it's still fresh in my memory.
Yeah.
I don't know
Not
if
the
this
birth.
Not the birth, no, just the story of what happened. It's quite interesting. I suppose as all births have their own story. I think this was quite an interesting thing that happened with us. And yeah, interesting. It's good. We saw God's hand working in our lives.
Absolutely.
So
Multiple ways.
yeah. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if this is going to be the next one. I don't know if this is going to be number 9 or maybe number 10 or whatever. We're recording up a bank again now that I have time. But whenever this goes out, yeah, this is kind of what happened. So shit, yeah, what an experience. We started out, obviously we wanted to do a natural birth at home, which was fine. We got the go-ahead from the gynecologist, we got the go-ahead, we got a midwife, we got a doula, we got everyone.
All the powers that be.
Yeah, like right from the beginning, and they just like all, followed our progress and checked how we are and checked how healthy Luna is and the development and stuff like that. And as time went by, like everything seemed fine for a home birth, or at least natural birth. And as time went by, we got to 38 weeks, we got the go-ahead, the final go-ahead from the gynecologist. 39 weeks came, 40 weeks came, 40 weeks in 1 day, 40 weeks in 2 days, and we are walking and we are bouncing on a ball and we are doing as much as we can.
Were you also bouncing on the ball?
Maybe not me. In fact, I was at some point trying to calm my own nerves. Yeah, just trying to do that. And then 4 days after the due date, the gynecologist asked that we please just come in and just come check for a checkup. And she said, based on the blood test and everything, we can have, this was on the Monday morning, she'll give us until Thursday.
Okay.
Was it Thursday?
Yeah.
I think it was
Well,
Thursday.
that's what you said to me.
Thursday or Wednesday?
Thursday morning.
Yes. Thursday morning we need to go in for induction. If it happens before then, naturally,
Fantastic,
we can give birth and cool. So we were like, that's okay. We have some time left.
Yeah, we'll do this.
And so we ended up walking a lot and doing, but because we might have gone to the hospital, we had to go for COVID tests, which makes kind of sense because like COVID
Obviously,
and whatever,
yeah.
but it's stupid. So anyway, so we go for COVID tests on Monday. Tuesday morning, this is now, so obviously we have another day left. I think by this time they had said we need to come in by Wednesday rather than Thursday.
Push it forward, yeah.
So it was by Wednesday, so we had like 1 day left, and they phoned Amy out of the blue. We were on our way literally to the mall. We were going to have this cute little date day, and she's going to calm down, and we're going to go shop little cute things for Luna and everything. And and they call Amy and they say, listen, you need to come into the hospital immediately. Your husband tested positive for COVID, and you need to get out of his presence because if you test positive now again when you get to the hospital, we're going to have to put you in the COVID ward, and that's not what you want. Like no one wants to give birth in a COVID ward because the protocol that's there is just insane. So obviously that threw a big spanner in our works, and immediately I went to work because like the last 2-3 weeks we have been in basically quarantine. We haven't gone to church. We haven't recorded.
You've been in waiting mode basically.
Yeah, we've been in
for Luna
waiting
to
because
come.
we're expecting her to come. So literally I haven't done anything.
Yeah, we didn't record. All those who were worried about me, I got like 3 phone calls and 2 messages.
Yeah.
You better go into isolation and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. But you guys put a video out. I'm like, yes, but we had some in the bank.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, so I test positive for COVID. So in my heart, I'm like, no, this can't be because I haven't been in contact with literally anyone. Like, where could I have gotten it?
Yeah.
And I did have it. So immediately I'm like, stuff this. We went through one lab, so I'm like, okay, I want to get a second opinion, go to another lab, go get another test done, and so at least I have a foot to fight on. I can go to the hospital and say, listen, this one's negative, this one's positive, it's a false positive. Just at least I don't want to miss the birth of my child.
Yes.
This lady phones me back and she says, listen, I have bad news for you. You tested positive again, and I'm like, what the flip? Like
how?
Where did I get it? And she says no, and this is where this is the miracle that I saw.
Yeah.
Because I was praying and people were praying for us and we were just asking God for favor and everything. And this lady could have just left it and said I was positive and that was the end of that. I had no leg to stand on. But she
see you when Luna's
yes, exactly.
She gets out.
But she said she started explaining to me. She said, "Listen, we looked at the count, the viral count, or I think they call it the PCR count.
Yeah.
And it was very, very low, and it was it was exactly the same as someone who experiences something called shedding. So,
yes,
as far as I understand, I stand very much to be corrected. Like
yes.
if you guys, if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments or whatever. But as far as I understand it, how they explain it is that if you have COVID, if you test positive today, then you wait. Obviously, you go through the COVID, you get the symptoms, whatever. If it's light, after 10 to 15 days, if you go test again, there's a possibility that you could test positive, or you could test negative because it's still in that type, but you're not contagious anymore.
Yeah.
Then you get apparently a small amount of people that can up to 90 days still test positive
for long COVID, guys.
For COVID, even though you're not contagious.
No.
You don't have COVID, you're not sick.
You have it, but you're not sick.
Yeah, but you're not sick, like you're fine, but you have the COVID virus in you or whatever.
So it's not like the antibodies, you actually have the virus.
Yes, you still have that. But and here's another thing, if I stand to be corrected, I heard that does insane things for your antibodies. Okay. So my antibodies apparently are like sharp.
Super strong,
Like you need to come draw my blood to make serum or something.
Okay, Spider-Man.
And anyway, so that's the 90-day thing. I was on a day 114, and I still tested positive for COVID, which showed that I still anyway. So now I'm positive for COVID, but there's a chance. And the second testing me positive was actually better than testing negative, because if I tested negative, then they were like, but the positive overrides the negative, and it's dodgy, and we don't want to do it. Because it tested positive, and I took a different test. They call it a gene X something test. They could actually see the amount of PCR or whatever in my blood.
PCR test. Yeah.
And they could see that I'm not infectious. So I phoned the midwife and I phoned the doula and I'm like, what the flip are we doing? Like, because now, I've been fighting for like 3-4 hours. The doctor's like, no, you're not coming in. The nurses are like, no, you're not coming in. They don't even want to talk to me. They're like,
they're over you.
You're like, bro, you need to get away from your wife because you are now setting our staff in danger and you're doing, which I completely understand.
Yes.
But I just knew I didn't have COVID. Yeah. Anyway, so I eventually get that. I phoned the hospital. I phoned the general manager. I got through to the general manager of the hospital, and and I say to them, listen, this is the situation. I tested positive. I went again and I tested positive again, but they explained to me that it's this thing called shedding. I know it's over 90 days. It's 114 days, whatever, but it's the same as someone who experiences shedding, whatever. And this person was very nice. They were like, no, totally understand. We'll get back to you, but it sounds like fine.
You're not coming in.
That type of thing. So the 5 minutes later, the phone back said, listen, you can actually come in. Just bring your first test and your second test so that we can compare the two and that we can just see that you did have COVID and you're not making nonsense up, whatever.
Where did you have the test done? You didn't have it at the hospital?
No. I went to their recommended lab.
Okay.
But, I went to
that's what I was wondering,
the hospital, their recommended lab, and then once that was positive, I went to another lab and did a completely different test.
Yes. No, I'm with you. I was just wondering, you didn't go to one of these pop-up places and get
No, I didn't go to like the what do they call them? The rapid test. I didn't get a rapid test. Because I know that the doctors don't see that. It's more like for traveling and stuff like that. Anyway, so that happened.
Sorry, which is interesting. Now, just to slide this in here.
Yeah.
interesting because if you could go get a rapid test, it's going to come back negative or whatever, but actually you have the same thing that you have.
Yeah.
And let's say, even if it's not exactly the same as yours, the person could still have COVID and they're still going to travel anyway.
100%.
Because the rapid test come back negative because it actually doesn't.
Well, it just shows you. It's kind of a bit of a joke.
It's chaos.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Anyway, back to the story. Sorry.
Anyway, so yeah, I went and I got the test, and then they phoned me back after 5 minutes to say, listen, so you can come, just bring your tests with. You can come in with your wife. That's no problem. And it's like the biggest relief because at this point we've been fighting for like 5 or 6 hours. Amy is in a difficult place because now she has to.
No, she's stressed.
She's losing her opportunity to give home birth naturally, and now she's going to probably go to the hospital and get a C-section alone, and she's got to be there for like 3-4 days, and it's crazy and whatever. So anyway, eventually I get the go-ahead, and we start packing our stuff, and I get a phone call from the hospital, and it's one of the staff there. And they say, no, you must understand. You are not coming into this hospital. It's a green zone and you have tested positive for COVID. We know that you've spoken to some people, but you are not coming. You are not coming into this hospital. So I'm like, yo, bro, like I've hit so many roadblocks.
And you were just relaxing because it was...
Yeah, we could go and now it's like, okay, the gloves are back on. Let's flip and fight. And I'm like, no, I'm not giving up. So I phoned the general manager back again, or get through to them, and I say, listen, this is the thing. And now I'm speaking to someone else at the general manager office, and I explained to them, listen, we just got to go ahead, and then we got a call from this other person, staff, and they said this, and I'm confused now, and my wife is going into labor, like what the flip, what can we do?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we understand. That is confusing. Let's just clear that up. We'll phone you back.
Yeah.
So we decide, okay, listen, let's at least go to the hospital so that they can check Amy in. They can monitor her. They can monitor the baby, and I'll fight from there. At least I'm outside the hospital. We'll go on from there. On the way there, they phone and they say, listen, they spoke to the infection prevention officer or the manager there at the hospital. They spoke to the head manager of like everyone, and they spoke to the person who phoned me to say that I'm not allowed to come in, and they got a okay from a whole bunch of other people. Don't even know who all. But it's okay. I can now come in. They have decided. They have looked after looking at my things. It's okay. I'm safe. I can come into a place like that. Which I mean. Like, I'm not angry about it because I understand that maybe some dads who have COVID who think it's a stupid thing might make up some story to try and be there for the birth of their child. So, like, they were really doing a good thing and they were just protecting their patients and things. But, fighting against that professional system that is in place and has been in place for a long time just was an absolute flippin' horror show. And the miracle that I saw was that woman at the other lab who explained the thing to me, because she could have literally just gone, sorry, COVID positive, and that was it.
Yeah.
And
nothing
luckily fighting and getting everything right and whatever, and because I wasn't infectious, I still am not, although I am COVID positive, which is such a weird thing. I mean, it just shows that we really don't know everything about this virus. As we're going on,
100%.
We're learning more and we're understanding more and stuff like that. So, yeah, people are different. So anyway, now we get into the hospital. Now it's like just flipping fighting. Well, I'm like ready at every corner because I'm like, what next? They're letting us in.
Who's coming next?
But like, what else is going to happen? And I was just not. And the thing is, I wasn't ever really fighting with people. I was never rude or anything like that. But I fought
fighting the system or the.
I fought with everything in me for something that I feel God had for us. Like God wanted us to be together. Like God, I was not going to let the devil steal that. I was just not going to do it. Anyway, so we're in the hospital. We're in there together. They start the induction process, and the awesome thing about the gynecologists that we had, they don't just hit you with the hard stuff and put you in strong labor or whatever. It's like a slow process,
step by step kind of thing.
and it's much more gradual. It's much more, or it's much less strenuous on the mom and on the baby. And
it's not like the movies where you give birth on the highway.
No, not like that at all.
No fire trucks
and
coming.
So
no
it was
lifts.
literally, it was like 4-5 hours until she started actually feeling contractions like strong and things like that. And unfortunately, just the cervix didn't open. Apparently, it was how Luna was lying. It was like just behind the cervix. or just in front of the cervix, so she wasn't lying on it, although she was down. It just never opened.
Wasn't going to help.
And then the doctor came in the following day. I mean, this is like 24 hours of going in labor, and you're contracting, and it's like flipping hectic. It's shame. Amy was going through the most, and but luckily we were together.
Yeah.
Or at least, just I don't know what I would have done if I just left her. Like I don't know.
Sat in the car outside and waited.
Yeah.
24 hours.
Sure.
Or
I don't know.
however long it was, 48 hours or whatever it was.
Yeah, no, it was hectic. And then anyway, so the doctor eventually comes to us and says, "Listen, sorry, they tried.
They've tried everything they can.
It can't. This is going to have to be a C-section." And the thing is, the thing that gave me peace about it is that the doula that we have and the midwife both know the doctor, and they say that the fact that this doctor says we must do C-section means that we have given it everything.
Yeah, they've tried.
She hardly ever. She doesn't like doing C-sections. She prefers natural if it can be natural.
Yeah.
She leaves you to natural, and she gives you extra time, and she's not worried about it. So anyway, we ended up having a C-section. Luna was born at 4:20 yesterday afternoon on the 27th of October.
Yeah.
I need to remember that date.
You're going to be needing that date for the next couple of 80 years or something, 50 years or...
And just wild, just absolutely, just wild. People say that your life changes when you have kids, but like until you actually see your kid, like it's like my life changed in a second, and all that love and that responsibility and the care and everything just like came out, and immediately they were getting Amy stabilized and sorted. She was handling it like an absolute champ. I went with Luna to the nursing ward, and immediately skin to skin. I was in the ward there with no shirt on. Luna's lying on me, and she's just, man, it was such a special moment. Yes. Yeah. And then Amy came out, like maybe half an hour later, stabilized, everything's good procedure, and she immediately started breastfeeding.
Boom.
Yeah, yes, what a thing. And then eventually after like 2 hours, they come to me and say, "Listen, you need to leave now." And I'm like, what the flip, bro? I was here allowed to be for the last 48 hours. Now that the baby's born, now I've got to leave. No, it's protocol, you need to leave. Yeah. So anyway, so I fought a little bit, and then I was just like, choose your battles, bro. Like, I don't want to make nonsense now.
Also, almost like you don't want to almost, I don't know what the word is. I mean, you've had such a blessing in it. It's what
I don't want to ruin it.
They don't want to ruin that.
It's fine.
Amy's fine. Amy's fine. Luna's fine. You can go visit again the next day, kind of thing.
So I haven't been there yet, but I'm going there directly after this. I need to do something with my time, so let's record. Let's talk about this. So
otherwise, you're gonna have just me recording because he's gonna be stuck at home with the baby. And maybe they don't want to watch that.
So yes, what an experience. And then anyway, so I did overstay my stay. I was supposed to be only for 2 hours after I saw it, but then I ended up staying like 4 hours.
But I think that's everyone, because I know two other people as well where the dads went to go and they were there, and then they overstayed this day.
You just say, I'm leaving now, and then they go, because they got other stuff to do. So
I think they understand as well. I don't think they. I mean,
they're not like
in amongst all this COVID protocol, and I think. I mean, I just think of dealing with protocol in any government thing or any major institution like that is chaos already.
Yeah, I think it's so
people don't know what's going on. They don't know what the other person said. They don't agree with them and that kind of stuff. And so I think now we've got COVID and whatever. So now I think it's kind of a case of look, they know you're going to leave. You are going to leave, but they also understand this is not just a fly-by-night moment. It's not just...
It's a special
moment,
what I mean?
Yeah.
And I must say, because in general, I mean, I think people, especially in the medical field, can lose their sense of humanity a little bit, because they become so desensitized to the stuff.
Well, obviously for them it sounds funny, but for them it's a job. It's not just a job; it's a career. Get that, but it's like what I'm saying is it's a job. They've got to sort this issue out.
Yes.
They're not too worried about your emotions around. You can be upset or not upset. I'm still sorting the issue out.
The main thing for them, their objective is just to make sure that the patient is fine.
Exactly.
And I must say, I did see the humanity, and there were people. They were people, and it was people dealing with people, and they were very accommodating, and they were very helpful.
You had that in the whole thing. Even that lady at that lab.
Yeah.
I mean, I think someone who I don't have to work with COVID, but I mean, I've the little bit of what are those like protocol we have to put into place at work and whatever. I'm like hard, like I'll be hard about it. I'm like, I don't care. If you don't like it, then you need to do whatever. You have to wear your mask, or you have to sit, whatever the story might be, hand sanitize until you're blue in the face.
Yeah.
They could easily get into that because they have thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are trying to push their luck for good reasons, some and some for not so good reasons. So that, as you say, it's a miracle that humanity came out of her and she was able to go, you know what, let me explain it so you understand what's going on.
And that's literally, I prayed,
which can hopefully help.
And I asked the people who were praying with us, I asked that God would give me favor with people.
Yeah.
And I saw God's hand in my life. I saw how He gave me favor with certain people, and people
100%.
were on my side. The people who were in the general manager position at the hospital, they wanted to help.
Imagine how many calls he gets from people that wanted to get in or wanted to do this or wanted to change something, and he's got to deal with that.
They wanted to help.
Yeah, he was willing to help you and to do what he can.
Oh no, it was insane. So I am super thankful to the people who prayed. My family, Amy's family, they're my family.
Yeah.
Our friends, the people in our church, like everyone. Like we had probably over 100 people praying with us.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I think with all these babies that are being born at the moment.
There's a lot of babies currently.
A lot of babies. I think level 5 lockdown was good to the population.
Baby boom. We've got new boomers.
But I think I don't want to say like we could almost get desensitized because there's another person having a baby and there's how many ever was. But like even me, because of our connection, our friendship, whatever, people are asking me, have you heard more? Have you heard more? Every morning, like twice a day, you get a message, morning, evening. What's going on? Have you heard? What have you heard? What's the last? And that's nice. That's nice to show that it shows that people
are care.
Yeah, people care.
People are invested rather.
I experienced an injury years ago, and I've never had a major injury, but this was a major injury. And I was completely immobile for at least 3 weeks, almost, I want to say, where I wasn't able to go around. And after that, I was still, people had driving around, and I was for weeks and weeks and weeks. But the point was, and you don't realize how much people, because I mean, you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything. Like for me, I was stuck on a mattress watching the World Cup, the soccer World Cup. That was the most I could do. I couldn't get to the bathroom by myself, kind of thing. And people don't come around and visit, and it sounds terrible, but it's not that they don't come around and visit, they don't like you, because you're in a different place and you're different, and it's so easy that now that you guys are going into this, that, well, you guys are in hospital and now get on with it.
So, Amy's phoning me, we're going to take a little break. Okay, anyway, so we're back. Amy phoned me, she's just trying to figure out how to change nappies, so I needed to help her there.
To tell you how many nappies she just used.
Yeah, she's already used like 4 nappies in the last hour. So that's a very, very good thing. Apparently it's a good sign of health for Luna. So yes, but what an experience. Just going through all of that, and then it was a big battle. I think, I prayed about it, and I was like, because sometimes you pray so hard for something, for a certain outcome, and you prepare and you get people to stand with you and to agree with you and stuff, and then it doesn't work out the way you expected. And I felt God show me, and it's God's ways are not our ways, but he explains things in ways that we understand. And he reminded me of a UFC fight. For those of you who watch kickboxing, or even just normal boxing, whatever. UFC, they have like the big fights go up 5 rounds. So they have 5 rounds of flat out fighting, and then after 5 rounds, if they go that far, they decide the winner. Normally it's like 1 or 2 rounds because the guys are so well trained and they're so well prepped.
And I mean they don't like mess around.
Yeah, no, this is not wrestling. This is not WWF. This is like
WWE smack it down.
Like I'm gonna go to war with you, and I'm gonna put you down.
Yeah.
And I just got this picture of that, and we trained and we prepped and we practiced for a 1 round knockout, which is good. You need to be so on your game that you can sort the thing out quickly. And even though we were preparing for that, the opposition was strong, and we ended up going 5 rounds. But God showed me that even though it went 5 rounds and it was so hard, we still won.
Yeah.
We still got the victory because we've got a super healthy baby. We've got a super healthy mom. The recovery is already amazing. There's such blessing in it. So it wasn't what we wanted. It wasn't what we expected. And I think that's like a life lesson as well. Like oftentimes we expect certain things, and we fight for certain things, and we pray for certain things, and it's good to pray and trust God for all of those things.
Exactly.
But it doesn't always go like that, because you have to fight against. We're fighting against principalities and powers. We're fighting against this world. We're fighting against other people who are against us. We're fighting against systems and stuff. And I mean, we could have, the second they phoned Amy the first time and said, listen, your husband tested positive for COVID, you have to come in alone. We could have like said, oh wow, that sucks, and she went alone. But because we stayed fighting, and it wasn't fighting with people. People aren't your enemy.
Yeah.
You need to sometimes just fight for the promise, fight for what's yours. Yeah.
And I think I think there's a lot of times when you just said it, and I'm going to kind of repeat what you're saying. We prep something, we plan something, we pray into something, and we have a vision of something.
Yes.
And we train maybe for that one thing.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good lesson in life in general. You actually need to train for 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Train for 10 rounds.
100%.
For 20 rounds.
Yeah.
Because then when you go into 1 round, it's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, because here's the thing: a lot of times you do get those 1 round victories. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you're prepped.
Exactly. I mean, if I bring it back to our favorite little topic, of hunting.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my rifle. I'm still waiting for that. I'm still waiting for the license to come through. The license has been approved, but I'm waiting for the card or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm getting frustrated because I want to do that. I want to train for 10 rounds.
Yes.
So the next hunting season, I'm ready for 1 round.
Yeah.
I don't want to go out next hunting season and have only had 5 minutes and had a 1 round practice, and it doesn't go the way we've planned it, or prayed into it or whatever. And I'm using hunting here as an example, but it can be any situation.
Yeah.
And then it's a mess, and then it's chaos, and
you almost need to over prepare.
Yeah.
Prepare for whatever life throws at you.
It's not a worst case. It's not prepare for the worst. Yeah. That's not what I'm preparing for. That's not what you're preparing for.
No, you're preparing for the best. You're preparing.
Exactly.
You're covering every single base.
Exactly.
So that when you get there, everything goes smoothly. And if something doesn't go smoothly, or if you get a kink in the road, you can handle it because you're prepared for it.
Exactly.
And I mean it's been a absolute learning curve for me, and I've it's so amazing. One thing that I realized in the last year is that we always say that scripture, those who love God will use all things to their benefit.
Yeah.
I think it's in Romans 8:26 or somewhere around there. And we know that scripture. We stand on that, we preach it and everything. But a side effect, what I'm trying to say is when you see God using even negative situations as a benefit to you, it's proof that you really love Him. It's proof that that your heart is completely devoted to Him. It's a fruit of your devotion to Him. That even if you go through a difficult time, even if you walk through the valley of shadow of death, and you feel like, I'm in there's a storm going on right now. He'll teach you to have peace in the storm, even though there's chaos going on. He'll teach you that it'll be okay. He'll teach you how to fight. He'll teach you how to stand for what you need to stand for, and not accept defeat in the sense that the devil doesn't want you. And I'm not saying this was demonic. I'm just saying the devil doesn't want you to walk in the promises of God. The devil doesn't want you to have peace. The devil doesn't want you to have blessing. And if you just every time he attacks and says, no, you can't have this, and you go, oh, okay, I can't have this, you're not going to walk in what God has for you. You have some responsibility and some.
I think also God gives you that sense, like you felt, where this is something I'm going to stand up for.
Yes, 100%.
He gives you that sense.
Yes.
There are things that you come up to opposition, you go, you know what? I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to fight for this. I'm not going to, because it's not worth it. And I'm not talking about when you had to leave at the end. I'm talking about in the beginning or the whatever. You're going to go, is it really worth messing up this or changing this completely to do that?
But I mean, even I would use that as a good example. Like when they asked me to leave at the end. Yeah. I wanted to, and I'm like, listen, I live out of town, and I wanted to start fighting the situation. Yes. And I just realized it's okay, I don't have to fight this right now. Exactly. And I felt God almost say to me, it's okay.
Exactly. It's okay. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. There's that point, and I think we miss that a lot of times in our lives. We fight for things that aren't what God wants us. We fight for because we push on our
what our desires are and what we have. And
this maybe goes back to our second or third episode, whatever it was, where we spoke about hearing God and if we're hearing them properly, we know that voice.
Yeah.
You know that voice that said, "This is worth fighting for.
Yeah.
This is a promise,"
100%.
and I know that I'm
There
not
was
actually.
a tenacity that came up inside
It's
of me.
not an
and I was
aggression,
just-
you know. As you said, you
No.
don't fight with people. You don't
No.
mood you on because it's not, and that's the true fighting against something.
Yeah.
Not against something, fighting for something.
Yeah,
put
yeah,
that
yeah,
way.
yeah.
I don't believe. I struggle, and I understand why people burn buildings and why they riot in the roads. I understand that's what gets motion, gets movement. I get that.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm like, are you really fighting for it? Is God really in this if you're doing those things?
Yeah, no.
No,
You're just
because
making
He
chaos.
doesn't need that.
There was already so much chaos in
Yeah.
that situation. The best way that I could fight that was by bringing order.
Yes.
And so immediately I went for a COVID test. Immediately I went to go get more information for them that they could understand so that I could take it to them. I wasn't going to now just make more chaos and more maracas and stuff. That's not the answer.
Yeah.
You need to almost, and we always used to say this in Bible school, is that when someone comes at you, you need, like in a negative way, you need to come in the opposite spirit.
Yes.
If someone is hateful towards you, you need to come in love.
Yeah.
Because your hatred will only fuel their hatred.
Exactly.
When you love them and when you come in the opposite spirit, you completely diffuse the situation because there's nothing fighting against it, you know. And that renders the enemy completely powerless over your life. So, walking in, and that's exactly what Jesus did. I mean, if you watch The Chosen, I love that series.
Brilliant.
And,
Have you seen the? Sorry, on that they're going to be releasing, do something over Christmas.
Oh no, is it? Yes.
Oh,
no, I
it's
haven't
very
seen
exciting.
it. Yeah, I
saw a little trailer of it, and I was like,
Okay.
oh my word, I'm excited.
Hectic. Oh no.
I literally have a tablet
Yeah.
that was it was my mom's, and then she's like, well, she's not really used it. I took
Yeah.
it from her just to watch The Chosen.
That's
I used it for other stuff as well, but I mean, it was there for that.
Yeah,
you know?
specifically for The Chosen. Yeah. So if you don't have it, go download it. This is not a sponsor.
No.
Sponsored ad, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really good. It's really worth watching, and it's for free. You download the app Chosen and you watch the series, and it's it's really really phenomenal, top quality type of stuff. But in that, they depict it so well that Jesus never reacted. He never came in aggression.
Yes.
He never acted in the same spirit. He
Yeah.
always came in the opposite spirit. It was just he would have this way to just diffuse the situation.
I love the way when they, like the last episode, of spoiler for that, I don't want to give too much away, but when the one guy wants to talk to him, calls him in,
Yes.
right? You know more something.
I haven't watched.
Not watched the very last one.
No.
Ah, come on.
Yeah, sorry.
Somebody
no.
wants to meet with him, basically.
Okay.
Calls him in or whatever, and they've almost got like an aggressive way, like a sarcastic aggressive way.
Yeah.
And he's like, so you wanted to meet with me?
Yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
chat.
I am.
Like,
I'm not like
not
opposed
super
or-
blasé, but like,
yeah.
you know, it was so
Yeah.
not what we think it would have been.
Yes,
You know, when
yes,
we
yes.
read the Bible stories, we think it's just,
Yeah.
he came running in there,
Yeah.
shouting and screaming,
Yeah.
and I mean, he did lose his bananas with people. He did moan at the,
Yeah.
he threw the tables over. I'm not saying he didn't,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, he
came.
He didn't fight the people. Like, I mean, I
Correct.
think one thing that I felt God lay on my heart during this whole birthing process and whatever is when I tested positive, and I realized what it was. I didn't try hide from any hospital personnel that I was positive. I walked in there and they asked, "Are you positive?" I said, "Or how's your test?" Whatever. I said, "I test positive," and they said, "And your new one?" And I was like, "No, my new one is that I'm positive."
Yeah.
I didn't try to hide it.
Didn't fake it, didn't.
Be open, because the second when you walk in the light, there
Correct.
is a certain authority that comes with that.
Correct.
And if you're right, like if I had COVID and I tell them I have COVID and I'm sick and I'm infectious, sure, they are not going to let me in. But if you're in the right and you're not hiding anything,
Yes,
you're not
yes,
trying
yes,
to
yes, yes.
connive or try and make it in your own way, there's a certain blessing that comes with that. Just from walking in the light and walking in truth. And ultimately, just from standing my ground and trusting God to give me favor with people, I was in there and I was with Amy and I could support her, and we ended up having a very interesting experience, but it was great because we did it together, and that was an amazing bonding experience between me and her. I think it would have been strange if she did it without me, and there's almost a disconnect, you know, when people go through stuff individually, it changes you. And I mean, especially if it's a big thing like this, it changed us so dramatically. And we could do it together. And I feel that that's absolutely a blessing
Look,
from God.
I know of a couple of fathers or a couple of friends who had babies last year in lockdown, and
Yeah.
they weren't there.
Yeah.
They didn't go to a single doctor appointment.
Yeah.
They didn't go. And I think that same thing that changes them. That changes.
Yeah.
But we know already that Jeremiah 29:11. This is God's plan for their life. That was part of God's plan for them and their child's life, whatever.
100%.
So
And God will use that. I mean, He'll orchestrate things in a way that He knows is best for you. Like maybe for another guy, it is the best thing to go through it alone. Maybe God wants to teach him something through that. I'm not saying it has to be my way. I'm not the example.
it's not your way or the highway,
It's whatever. It's what God has for your life. And I think that's what we spoke about when we spoke about hearing God's voice. It's like there's no right or wrong thing to say, or it's about you having a relationship.
Yeah, you can't box God and say he only talks verbally. He only talks to the Bible. He only talks to TV programs, the radio, whatever. You can't do that because
he'll communicate to you.
If he needs a donkey to talk, he'll get the donkey to talk.
100%.
I think the key again, and go back to that same thing, and what we're saying here is, you know the voice of God. You knew when He was saying to you, "This is worth it.
Yeah.
I've got your back." You didn't need to scream and shout and swear and do those kind of things to get your attention, to get the answer.
I mean, where is it that you speak to the main manager of the hospital after having COVID and they let you in? And like that, I just had favor. I had favor with people, and that was 100% attributed to God, because they could have just given me the finger and were like, "Dude, listen, you have COVID. You're not coming into the hospital," which would be 100% right. But
they took the time.
They took the time to actually look at my results, and they realized that, okay, wait, this is not a normal situation.
Yes.
This is a very it's kind of exclusive situation, and they what also counted in my favor is that the hospital had actually had one or two of those situations where people had tested positive, although they weren't, and so that also obviously just paved the way for me.
Yes.
And I think that's why that's also another thing that we can maybe talk about is that when God asks you to do something, and it's hard, oftentimes you're paving a way for the people to come after you.
100%.
You could be going through something that's
100%.
difficult and fighting opposition, and you're making it easier for the people before or after you. Yeah.
Well, that exact note, and I said this, I don't know if we spoke about it, I can't remember who I spoke to, but I know I said this a while ago talking to someone. We have the Bible.
Yeah.
We have a way that's paved for us.
Yeah. That's powerful.
We are ridiculous because we already know that He paved the way. Yeah. We already know what faith is. We've already seen Abraham and Isaac. We've already seen those stories, heard those things, read it, but yet we still struggle.
We still struggle.
They walked that out.
Yeah.
When the disciples went out to disciple the world, when He said, "God, make disciples of all mankind," they were like, "Well, I don't even know what that means."
And they had so much opposition that they all were martyred and killed for their faith. So now
we know what that is.
Now we have countries where you can just freely speak about Jesus, and it's because people
they paved the way.
They paved the way and they paid a price. And
I want to challenge everybody. I mean, us included, myself. I mean, the devotions in the morning has been very much the last couple of weeks on not on the disciples, but going out and making disciples of the world, on evangelists and those kind of things.
Yes.
And it's literally a case of like, I want to change you guys. You might be the one who's paving the way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You might be changing the world for someone.
Yeah.
There's a story my mom always tells, and it's a story part of why we do what we do. There's a little boy on a beach. The little boy is on the beach, and there are starfish everywhere that have washed up.
Okay.
These starfish washed up, and the little boy's standing. He's throwing one starfish, and he walks over the next one, picks it up, and pops it in the water, and so on and so forth. And then this old man comes along, and this old man says to the little boy, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you? I mean, look how many are on the beach." Or the little boy says, "I'm trying to put them in the water." He's like, "Look how many! You can't save them."
Yeah.
They're like, "You're a little 4-year-old, and there's like 1,000."
Yeah.
And the boy goes, "But I can save this one."
Yeah.
And I can save this one.
Yeah.
And he paves the way almost,
Yeah.
He paves the way to teach that old man that, listen here, that one person that one starfish he saves could. You're
that affecting generations. You're affecting generations after that.
Exactly.
And that's why when people say, I'm very reluctant to say, like when you try to help people, oftentimes when it gets difficult, other people will say, you can't help everyone.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not trying to help everyone. I'm trying to help this person. I'm trying to help this situation.
Exactly.
And
we never know what that person's going to do.
Exactly. You don't know what the thing is. And often, and it's not about you like if God asks you to do a certain thing, or to be obedient in a certain way, He's not asking you to be successful. He's asking you to be obedient. Whether
100%.
that person listens, or whether that person makes a big success out of this message or out of this revelation that you've
100%.
shared with them, or this thing that you've done for them, is irrelevant. They can squander it for all you care. You were obedient and you did what God wanted you to do.
Someone once said, I can't remember who, it wasn't to me, it was, they were talking about they had tried to bless somebody with something. If it was money or a car or something like that. This was years ago when I was a teenager. And the person didn't want to take it. They were like, no, I can't take this from you. And the person who was giving the blessing, I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it was substantial.
Yeah.
He said, if you say no to this, you deny me.
Yeah.
Because God's told me to bless you.
Yeah, 100%.
So do what you want with it. Sell the car, whatever. I'm being obedient to what I've been told.
Yeah. It's like God, not God, it's like God instructed Paul to say to I think it was the Philippians. He says, I'm not asking you to give for me. I'm not asking to benefit from you. I'm asking so you for you to give so that it can benefit your heavenly account.
Yes.
And that's the powerful thing. Like when you see God in something, when you see God like in a mission or in like that, and that's something we actually want to talk about. We'll talk about it in the next, I don't know, a couple of podcasts. I've got a mission thing that we should maybe like support and whatever. But like when you see something that God is really in, when you connect yourself to that by supporting it with prayer, by support with physically being there or financially or whatever it might be, you're connecting yourself to that, and ultimately you are gathering heavenly treasure. And it says in the Gospels, don't stack up riches here on earth where moth and rust destroys it and where thieves come in and steal it. Build your heavenly account, and you build your heavenly account by being obedient to God and being part of the kingdom and being supportive in that aspect.
Exactly.
So
bro.
What a
life-changing experience there for you.
I'm telling you, yes, it was wild. It was absolutely next level
in many ways.
No, and I feel like it's definitely. We were talking just before we started recording. We were talking about responsibility. And I think under the right circumstances, responsibility is one of the single most important things for us to grow up. Because like
to gain.
We in marriage, we love each other, we've got a good relationship, me and Amy, and in that we have decided to have a child. And because of that, when I saw her face, I had that revelation of responsibility, and it was one of the most positive things. It wasn't a dreadful thing. It was an amazing thing where I could, I now get to steward this child's life. This is, I'm not seeing this as some kid. I'm seeing this as a potential leader one day.
100%.
Like who? Billy Graham had parents. Catherine Kuhlman had parents, and they had to raise that person, and they
100%.
They share in that heavenly riches that was stored up by that child.
The word says, "Bring a child up in the ways of the Lord, and they'll never depart from that."
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Luna will hopefully know Jesus from a very young age.
What do you mean, hopefully? She knows Jesus already, bro.
And exactly.
And what you went through to be part of that, she don't know Jesus.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's insane, so, that's cool.
Such an awesome story. Such a great opportunity. I said to you guys this is so God ordained. I think. In many ways, from just your calmness, from just the situation, from everything, this is
there's so many.
This is part of His plan. If you ever wonder what His plan is, this is definitely part of it.
We've got a little journal that we've been writing for Luna that we want to give her one day, with all the prophecies and all the things that are related to her. That one day, when she's of age where she understands, we'll give it to her and she'll read it, and she'll see how God's hand has been in her life. From even before she was born. I mean, we were at a worship evening, and someone said they see a pink rattle and someone is pregnant, and I was like, okay. This was the Wednesday, and the Friday night or Friday morning, Amy woke me up at 5 saying she's pregnant. And we had the test, and we went to the doctor, and I was pregnant, and there was a little girl. I mean, there was and there's the pink rattle. And not just that, they saw a pink rattle. Later that day, someone completely unrelated, not in the same circle at all, came and gave us a pink rattle. They bought us a pink rattle. And it was a girl, and it was just
Crazy.
it's God ordained, and we're thankful for that.
100%.
Anyway, lekker, bro.
Lekker.
So we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
God bless you guys. Thank you
Yeah,
for watching.
have a good-
And have a
We'll
good.
see you next time. Follow us, like, share,
Yeah,
comment.
yeah.
Comment, guys. Email us. We want to hear from you.
Yeah. Send us
Yeah.
Send us your opinion. Cool.
Lekker.
Thank you.
Cool.
Enjoy your weekend.